Your hair is very pretty also. Okay.
Are you ready to start?
הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברכים גם יחד. 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 How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברכים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברכים גם יחד. שברכים גם יחד. שברכים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to those here with us and those watching us at home. We're glad that you're all with us physically or virtually. This evening we're going to be praying from our Reclaiming Shabbat booklet that looks like this, so please make sure you've got one of those from the table outside of the chapel. And if you haven't yet, please take a moment to make sure that your cell phones have been silenced so that we can be fully present for each other during our service this evening. We are going to begin this evening with the meditation and the lighting of the Shabbat candles, which are in our books on page 2. I want to invite Betsy Lewis to the bima to lead us in the meditation before we light these candles. If Betsy is here.
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, there she is.
O God, you are the light by which we see the ones we love. As we kindle these lights, we begin a holy time. May we and all Israel find in it refreshment of body and spirit, and the sense that you are near us at all times.
We give thanks for our home, where we find rest from the day's work and refuge from cares. May it be warm with love and companionship. May our joys be heightened and our sorrows softened by the love we give and receive.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with mitzvot and command us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
May we be blessed with Shabbat joy. May we be blessed with Shabbat peace.
May we be blessed with Shabbat light.
Friends, we're going to continue now with Lecha Dodi. That's on the page before page 1 in your booklets.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesufa So ma'aseh v'nachshavati la Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom Ateret ba'ala Gam besimcha U'b'srot ola Toch emunei Am segula Boi chala Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela
We'll remain standing until Baruch Hu, and we'll take just a moment now to offer someone nearby a pathogen-friendly greeting and the wishes of a Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Nearly as much fun.
Continuing now as we remain standing on page 3 in the middle of our books, in the middle of page 3 in our books.
Ya la 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai Hamborah Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam 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 Va'ed Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 lai, 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 lai.
Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhma poteach she'arim, u'vitvuna mishane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et ha'kochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'ma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. On page 5. The Torah is a tapestry which can adorn the days in which we dwell.
Let us embrace it and make it our own. Weave its text into the texture of our lives.
Its teachings sustain us, its beauty delights us when we open our eyes to its splendor.
It is not a mystery far beyond reach. It is not in heaven beyond our grasp.
It is as close to us as we allow, on our lips, in our heart, integral to our deeds.
Let us study its words, fulfill its commands, and make its instruction our sacred nature.
It is the tangible gift of God's love. Weave its text into the texture of your lives.
Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue near the bottom of page 6.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושופך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים לחיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We cannot find redemption until we see the flaws in our own souls and try to efface them. Nor can a people be redeemed until it sees the flaws in its soul and tries to efface them. But whether it be an individual or a people, whoever shuts out the realization of one's flaws is shutting out redemption. We can be redeemed only to the extent to which we see ourselves.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We'll continue now in the small half sheet that you should have picked up in your Shabbat handout on the way in, as we make our way musically through the words of this song, Let There Be Love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom.
Vehamidenu, Shomreinu lechayim, Ufros aleinu, Sukkot shlomecha.
Hashkivenu,
Hashkivenu,
Adonai Eloheinu.
Eloheinu,
Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
We continue at the bottom of page 8, back in our books, Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam Beni uven b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinavash Shabbat vayinavash Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beritolam.
As we move toward our tefillah together, we continue on this full sheet insert and we rise to prayer together.
Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Svatai Tiftach Anananananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Svatai Tiftach Anananananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Svatai Tiftach Anananananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Ananananana Ananana Svatai Tifta Ananana Ufiagi Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Hasei Avot V'Imavot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atarav Ve'Hoshia Mashim HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Zomech Noflim Verofech Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Mishred Mechafar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umidom Melach Melech Neimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atal HaChayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated, and we'll continue responsively in the middle of page 11. We thank you, O God, for your gift of Shabbat, for the sanctuary in which we observe it, and for the dear ones with whom we share it.
May the joy of Shabbat gladden our hearts, and may its peace quiet our spirits.
Bring us closer to one another in love, with laughter and soft words, with shared concerns and mutual respect.
Help us so to live in the days ahead, that you may look upon all we have done and find it good and worthy of your blessing.
On page 12, we continue with our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom
Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Shalom Rav Al Yisrael V'tov beinecha livarech et amcha Yisrael V'chol eitu v'chol shah B'shlomech Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We take a moment now for our own individual silent prayer.
Say shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshrei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen.
Each week we set aside some time at this point in our service to offer a prayer for healing. At this time of some medical uncertainty in our communities, it's especially appropriate, I think, to turn our thoughts to those in our community and those across the country and across the world who are on this Shabbat in need of healing. Within the circle of our community on this Shabbat, we are thinking of Bradley Borden, Jennifer Carey, Michelle Cohen, Miles Cohn, Maya Creeder, Jay Empel, Roseanne Finkel, Alan Garber, Ali and Leah Jakubowicz, Sarah James, Lawrence Levy, Jesse Vasquez, Carol Wasserstein, Roger Williams, and Baruch Leib Ben-Tevya. The words of Mishaberach are on page 13 in the margin. We sing and pray together.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
Friends, if you picked up a Shabbat handout on your way in, you'll see some details about a few upcoming events and programs in the community and in the congregation. I want to take just a moment to call out a couple of them for special mention. First of all, this weekend will be our congregation's observance of Purim. Our spiel will be happening 10 a.m. Sunday morning with the carnival for the kids to follow. Everyone is welcome. It's going to be great. Cantor Simmons put together a really fantastic Purim spiel this year. Please make a point of coming. It's going to be something to remember. Let me just put it that way. This Shabbat, this weekend, is our last Shabbat to promote elections for the World Zionist Organization. We've been talking a little bit about the importance of all of us taking a few minutes to vote in those elections this time around. Voting will conclude Wednesday, March 11th. Please, if you haven't yet, take 3 minutes and about $7 to vote online to help do what you can to further pluralism and democracy in Israel. There's more information in your Shabbat handout. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, as I know are Will, Freddie, and Barbara, if you have questions for them. Lastly, our sisterhood will review the book titled Sister of Mine, Thursday, March 12th at 12:30. All are welcome to that book review. The last thing that I want to mention is that this week, out of an abundance of caution in the interest of public health, we are not going to be handing out wine or challah for Kiddush and Motzi. We will be saying the blessings together at the conclusion of our service tonight. I will be your religious agent, and on your behalf, I will offer those blessings and take a bite of challah and a sip of wine. And all of you can consider that your meal this evening has been blessed. Please go home and enjoy a meal with the people that you love after you leave services tonight. And I want to thank everyone who's taken the time and the attention to all of the information we've been getting from public health officials around our community and around the country to make sure that you are following those basic common sense precautions to make sure that we can protect our health and the health of those whose immunity is compromised and vulnerable in our communities. It's a time when it feels like we're getting all kinds of different floods of information, some of it conflicting, some of it confusing, and all of it seeming to change on a moment's notice. So this evening, without adding more to the conversation about the epidemiological aspects of what's going on in the country, I thought I'd take a few minutes to share with you what might be a Jewish perspective on the situation that we find ourselves in the country and in the world today, facing the rising threat of a medical epidemic. What is the right Jewish response to this coronavirus situation in our country and in our world? Well, one thing that we have to rely upon is the fact that if we Jews are anything, we are a people who cherishes and learns from history. And knowing that I wanted to talk a little bit about this topic this evening from this bima and to try to offer something that was relevant and thoughtful, I knew I needed to find a good, solid set of data to work from. So I spent the last week or so doing some deep, thoughtful, really juicy research that I absolutely loved about Jewish life in the 14th century when our ancestors responded to the ravages of the Black Plague. So I did a lot of reading and a lot of study about what the Jews in Europe did when the plague reached their communities. Well, one thing I should start with is that, like everyone else in Europe during the middle of the 14th century, the Jews suffered. After it arrived in the late 1340s, the Black Death would go on to wipe out close to half of Europe's population. And by the time it slowed and ended, it was responsible for having killed more than 100 million people across Europe and Asia. And of course, many thousands of Jews were among those who died as well, though there were, as you may know, many widespread anti-Semitic rumors that the plague was less virulent and less deadly in Jewish communities. Now, scholars today continue to debate whether or not that was actually true, and if so, what might have been the case of the plague functioning differently in Jewish communities. One theory that I find intriguing, whether or not I believe it, is that in the springtime of 1349, when the plague stampeded most ferociously through Europe, the Jewish families who had removed all of the grain products from their homes for Passover had thereby cut off the food source for mice and rats whose fur was a host for plague-infested fleas. Now, whether or not that's true, and whether or not the plague affected Jewish communities differently than Gentile communities, there was an opening provided by this disease for the same old pattern that we have seen again and again in countless different settings. A calamity strikes, and someone finds a way to blame the Jews. And the Black Death was no exception. As the plague scorched its way through Europe's cities, displacements and pogroms and massacres followed, as panicked citizens seized their Jewish neighbors and blamed them for spreading or causing the disease. In the end, despite the protestations of good people and even a papal decree from Pope Clement VI, more than 200 medieval Jewish communities were wiped out. But tonight, I want not only to focus on the thoughts and actions of Israel's enemies. What I'm really curious about is what the Jewish communities themselves thought and did at that time. What were they most worried about? How did they handle the anxiety and the uncertainty and fear as disease ravaged their homes and their communities? And is there anything that we modern people can learn from their experiences about what we ought to do when a new pandemic arises in our day? Well, to find some answers, I spent a few days looking through the records of medieval Jewish communities in the 14th century, and there's not a lot left. There are very few existing written records from the 14th century. We do have a collection of historical chronicles from about 200 years later in a collection called Emek HaBacha, which means something like the Valley of Weeping. And that was written in France and Italy a couple hundred years later after the epidemic and the massacres of Jewish communities. We do have a headstone of a 15-year-old boy who died from the plague in 1349, whose inscription describes his Jewish study, lists his Jewish name, and the Hebrew dates of his birth and death. We have a last will and testament surviving from a rabbi who died in 1357, interestingly having survived the plague. And most interestingly, what I want to spend my time on tonight, we have a sermon, actually a collection of sermons that were delivered by a rabbi in 1350 and 1351, which was the height of the plague in his community in Catalonia, just about 50 miles outside Barcelona. The rabbi who wrote this sermon is named Nissim of Gerona. He was born in 1320. He was a Talmud scholar and a philosopher, a physician, and an astronomer. A number of his writings still survive, but the most interesting are these sermons in which he talks about the issues of his day and the topics of concern to his community. So Rabbi Nissim says three things that I want to share with you tonight, all of them about the plague as it made its way through Spain. The first warning he offers his people is that they should be careful about what they ascribe to the will of God. Yes, he acknowledges, our people in its past have known great wonders and impressive chastisements. We've seen the plagues in Egypt and the parting of the sea, but he reminds us, sometimes people just get sick. And we have to be cautious about pronouncing everything bad that happens to us or someone we love as part of God's divine punishment. Because, he reminds us, people cannot know the mind of God. Now, our Nissim seems inclined to suggest that the Black Plague did have a divine origin. He says, the afflictions that we witness with our own eyes, spreading out and engulfing everything in the span of a single year, the world has undergone a more radical change than ever before in the preceding 200 years. But he encourages his people to notice that the chastisements of the Lord and his strong hand exhort us to return to the Holy One with a whole heart. You see, he was unsure about categorizing the Black Death as a punishment. Instead, he sees it as an opportunity for people to bring themselves back into closer relationship with the divine. The second point in his sermon is that he urges his listeners not to take oaths in vain, not to take God's name in vain by swearing a vow that they don't intend to uphold or that they will be unable to uphold. It's not entirely clear specifically what he's talking about, but since the context of the sermon is how his community comported itself during the plague, I wonder if what he's talking about is a compulsion in some of his congregants not to strike vain bargains with God. For example, if you spare me from the plague, I promise I will X, Y, and Z. This is, he suggests, an oath taken in vain, a violation of one of the Ten Commandments, but it also diminishes our relationship with God to a mere transaction. Rabbi Nissim is concerned that his people will see God only as a means to an end, only as a utilitarian way of getting the things that they want, that God will guarantee your health or safety if you make certain promises. Rabbi Nissim is worried that Judaism for his people will become a sort of spiritual quid pro quo. The most important part, he reminds us, is the inward commitment we make to draw our hearts back toward relationship with God. But the third point that I want to share with you from his sermon that he gave during the rampage of the Black Death ends with a caution that his people are engaging in sinat chinam, in baseless hatred. Sinat chinam is a certain kind of hatred or anger that doesn't come as a result of revenge or retribution, but it's the kind of hatred or prejudice that people have based on no pretense whatsoever. People just have a tendency sometimes to hate. He describes this kind of hatred. He says, these are his words, people constantly persist in it, though it affords no benefit or enjoyment to a man. Unlike other sins we might think of that people indulge in because they feel good or because they're satisfying, sinat chinam, the urge to hate another person for no reason, is a vice that we seem to be unable to break ourselves from, even though it offers no benefit to us spiritually or physically. Isn't it interesting that at the time he delivered this sermon, during the height of the bubonic plague in Spain, Rabbi Nissim of Gerona was most concerned about commanding his people to put a leash on their hatred. I talked not long ago about how this epidemic we're facing today, this contagious and fast-moving coronavirus, has served as an accelerant of racism and xenophobia in North America. And I'm not sure if I feel reassured or saddened that the same thing was happening 600 years ago and 5,000 miles away during the height of the Black Plague. Rabbi Nissim of Gerona was right. Uncertainty and fear do have the capacity to move us unthinkingly toward anger and hatred. Hatred of the other, resentment of the people tasked with taking care of us, anger even at those who are sick, frustration with the vulnerability and frailty of the human body. When disease comes careening through our cities and our communities, we have certain sets of physical obligations. We have to take care of the sick. We have to comfort and protect the vulnerable. We should support those who work in the healing professions. We should take basic precautions with ourselves to slow the spread of disease. But in addition to the physical obligations, we have spiritual ones as well, as that rabbi pointed out 600 years ago. Our job as faithful, covenantal people is to resist the urge toward hatred and resentment, and to refuse at all costs to give in to them. So many experiences from the Jewish past come back to remind us of history's lessons. Stress and anxiety easily wind up victimizing populations that are already marginalized, including our own, but not only ours. And we have to use volatile times as an incubator for kindness and compassion, to find a way to leverage the turbulence, to find pathways toward gratitude and generosity. The last text that I want to close with comes from that will and testament that I mentioned, from Rabbi Elazar of Mainz, who died in Germany in 1357. He survived the plague but died from an unrelated ailment. In his will, which he wrote knowing that he was going to die, he orders his surviving family about the funerary practices and the rituals he wants observed at his funeral. And as a survivor of the plague, he sternly and maybe unsurprisingly instructs them about hygiene and cleanliness. But his will and testament doesn't end there. It ends with a set of moral instructions about gratitude and about taking care of those in need. Here are his words. Be scrupulous with your blessings. Accept no gift from God without paying God back with the gift of your grateful acknowledgement. On every holiday and festival and Shabbat, seek to make happy the poor, the unfortunate, the widows and orphans, who must always be guests at your table. Their joyful entertainment is your religious duty. To be a Jew means to accept that you have certain religious duties, physical ones and ritual ones and ethical ones as well. Disease and uncertainty can create trying and terrifying days, and our Jewish response is to care for those in need, to preserve our embattled impulse for gratitude, shun the temptation towards sinat chinam, and see to it that the joyful entertainment of those who are victimized and vulnerable becomes and remains our religious duty. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Shabbat Shalom. We move, friends, back to our prayer books. On page 14, would you rise with me to Emanu l'Shabeach, page 14.
Emanu l'Shabeach l'Adon HaKol, l'Atei Gedula l'Yotzer Breshit, Shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, Velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, Shelo sam helkenu kahem, Vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, V'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'nehemar L'chaya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yehiye Adonai echad Ushemo echad.
At this time, friends, our thoughts turn to those whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. Our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We take just a moment now quietly to do the sacred work of memory. We now have the privilege and the duty to recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Tonight we remember the Artsites of Edward S. Astrich Sr., Amy Lee Atlas, Herman Auerbach, Don Balke, Louise Bamberger, Evelyn Baum, Camille Berman, Walter Batensky, David Blum, Andrea Braver, Heinz Joe Dannenbaum, Kenneth Davis, Barbara Rolnick-Dokel, Elias Dubinsky, Jack Dukler, David Eisen, Harvey Epstein, Mary Feldman, Renee Fenberg, Bernice Mr. B. Finger, Joseph E. Fishbein, Samuel Fisher, Bernard Foy, Hilda Frank, Arthur Robert Fried, Martin Fried, Rebecca Friedlander, Abraham Haskell Frosch, Madeline Frosch, Odell Kaufman First, Iris Gardner, Samuel Alfred Gaylor, Julius Gelber, Jeanette Getz, Rose L. Ginsburg, Rosalind Golden, Jake Goldstein, Ralph J. Goldstein, Abraham Gomberg, Lena F. Goot, Fanny Gordon, Elaine Gorowitz, Bess Greenblum, Josie Heiken, Ira Herman, Abe Holman, Carl Horton, Daniel Inselberg, Morton Jacobowitz, Anna H. Kame, Carolyn Tucker Kamen, Dave Kaplan, Irving Ike Klein, Joseph G. Lakshin, Minnie Hoffman-Layden, Ella Landau, Danny Lavoie, Deborah Lewis, Stuart Lewis, Beatrice Lichter, Benjamin Lipton, Robert Lobel, Lester Lord, Ann Lumish, I. M. Lurie, Ruth Marcus, Lisa Beth Margolis, Michael Marmo, Roxanne Meyerson, Jenny Meyerson, Louise Ann Morowitz, Pauline Morgenstern, Meyer Nathan, Sibley Newman, Sam Orenberg, Beatrice Orsek, Robert Parkins, Jerome Passon, David Pasternak, Herman L. Phillipson, William Bill Plotkin, Paul Pollock, Louis A. Reichman, Rosalie Roberts, Stanley Philip Rock, Shulamit Julie Rosen, Henry Rosenblum, Donald Rosenfield, Elaine Bobby Shear, Simon Shine, Lillian Schiff, Jean Schwartzberg, Frank Seliger, Sidney Seibel, Ann Laderman Singer, Verna Sloan, Helen Stein, Marga Steinhardt, Joseph Stuhl, Ruth Ann Sulko, William Tenenbaum, Seth Tenenbaum, Marilyn W. Tritter, Jacob Joseph Vogelfang, Louis Weinberg, Edward Weisberg, Isabel Erdodi Weiss, Frida Wolf, Leon Zainfeld, Ruben Zainfeld, Bernice Zeilenga, Joseph Zoll, and Saul J. Zucker. The memories of all of them are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we rise to praise God with the ancient words of Kaddish on page 16. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chay d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitormam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yeheh shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
O say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen.
We'll continue with these blessings of Kiddush and Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron lema'aseh Bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher yetziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, v'yatanu מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנך אותנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
You're all very welcome. We're going to close this evening, Barbara, with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bivroma, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'ashreinu Tevel, Ve'imru. Oseh Shalom Roma, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Tevel, Ve'imru. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Tevel, Ve'imru.
As we go forth from this place, O God, may we be blessed. May we be blessed with health and joy. May we be kept in safety and in love. May this be your blessing. Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Amen.
Yeah, that's good.